Hey guys, this is Mason Vasquez, the Strategist from Red Bluff Battle Reports. We're going to be going over a few different Drukhari things today. New Codex dropped. I was able to watch a couple of videos of run-throughs of the Codex, and one video was just like high-def, like pictures of the pages. So I threw a couple things together for all you Drukhari players out there. That should be a lot of fun. I'm focusing on competitive combos, and I'm focusing on how to form a competitive list with this new codex. Alright, so let's get started. So first off, power from pain table has dramatically changed. Turn 1, you have a 6-up invul save. Turn 2, you can advance and charge. Now this turn 2 advance and charge thing is going to come in real key for a lot of the combos here, so I can't wait to talk about them. Turn 3, each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. Yeah, that's good. If this unit is a vehicle or monster, keyword, it does not suffer the penalty for the hit firing heavy weapons at enemy units that are within engagement range of it. Well, okay, yeah, I can see that. So like, you have a Ravager, and he's got 3 Dark Lances, and he wants to shoot at something, you know, with engagement range. You do not want to take that -1 to hit. That's pretty useful. Turn 4, models in this unit have 5+ invul. So it went from 6-up invul, 5-up invul turn 4. Hopefully by then all your stuff will be dead and you'll have like 10 models to have that 5-up invul, but you know, we try to not let that happen as Drukhari players. Then we have Emboldened by Bloodshed. Now that's turn 5 ability. Each time a morale test is taken for this unit is automatically passed, so fearless. If this unit's characteristic can change as it suffers damage, this unit is considered to have double the number of wounds remaining for the purposes of determining those characteristics. So basically, just no bracketing, helps bracketing. That's great. So that's the power from pain table. I'm already at almost 3 minutes, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit. I wanted it to be probably like a 20-minute competitive video of just combos. So let's just start with combos. So the first thing that I noticed is that all patrol detachments are 0 CP. They cost 0 CP. So more patrols, more HQs. I think majority of Drukhari lists are going to have a real space raid detachment. Now the real space raid detachment, what that does is that it's basically what it used to be, the patrol detachment. You take 1 of each kind. You have a Archon, you have a Homunculi, you have a Succubus. Then you have to take 1 unit of their troops. So you'd have to take Rax, you'd have to take Cavalry Warriors, and you'd have to take the Witches. So this is going to be good because there's a lot of buffs to be done with the 3 different kinds. You're not going to want a Drukhari army anymore with just Cavalites like I used to run personally. I have Cavalites. I used to do Archons. Archons can buff Cavalites and all their boys, so I went with the Cavalites. Now, I feel like every army is going to have a real mix of things because there's some really devastating combos and hidden in this codex, and it's just brand new. And these are just the ones that we've found so far, so I'm excited to see the Drukhari as a whole in a competitive scene. Alright, real space raid detachment. You can have maximum 1 per army. It costs you CP, unlike the patrols. But you still get your CP back for having the Warlord in. So it's going to be a free battalion. And then you could take patrols and potentially not spend any CP. If you took pure patrols, you actually start with +2 CP because you'd still get the 2 back for the patrol. So you'd be at 14 CP to start. But I'd say raid space detachment's well worth the 2 CP tax there, because this is what you get. Every unit, even if they're mixed obsession, like let's say the witches, the Cavalites, they'll usually, if they're in the same detachment, they don't get their special abilities. They don't get their obsessions, but they do if they're in a real space raid detachment. Also, it replacing your Warlord's Overlord ability to affect all real space raider detachments. So your Warlord, which is going to be an Archon, I would think, is going to be able to make everything reroll ones around him. It's all real space raider keyword models. So it's all your Cavalites, it's all your Racks, it's all your Incubi. Only Incubi if you do one other thing, and we'll get to that. So, yeah, you do want your Racks rerolling ones to hit and wound. You want your Cavalite Warriors, rerolling ones to hit all their ranged weapons. And with the boosts you get off of now making your HQs into better HQs, just like everyone's doing. You got the Space Marine Codex, we got the Chief Apothecary, we've got the Master Sanctity for the Chaplain. They have very, very similar buffs out of this codex with the Archons, the Succubuses, and the Homunculus. So those are the 3 HQ styles, and most of the time I would say that these will all be out of the real space raid detachment, because everything just synergizes so well in this real space raid detachment. So you can upgrade your Master Archon for 15 points. I think the Master Archon's 15 points, the Succubus is 15 points, but I think the Homunculus is 20. I have to double check on that. Now you're going to be paying extra points for these models to get all these special abilities. So the Master Archon gets the Splinter Genius special rule, which didn't leak on the internet, and that's +1 to wound with your poison weapons. Okay, yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, sure. Especially with the combination of, we'll go down here to the stratagems, especially with the combination of potent metal toxins, which is a stratagem that was leaked as well. Pick one core unit in the shooting phase. That unit's poison weapons wound on a 4+, even if it's a vehicle. Now you combo that with Splinter Genius, and you're wounding vehicles on a 3-up with Splinter Cannons, which are now, I believe, 2 damage. So it's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Why not? Now, the Husk Blade is a loser, unfortunately. The Husk Blade lost its +1 strength and is never going to be used ever again. Venom Blades are better in my opinion, especially with some of the buffs you can do. But the Gin Blade, I believe is how you pronounce it, is amazing, especially when paired up with the Eternal Hatred Warlord trait, and you can like toss them in there once per game. A Master Archon can double fight, so you just toss them into the fray, go crazy, try a double fight with them. It puts them up there with the damage. Damage is way up with them, and still an Archon, still given a lot of buffs. So usually we're using the Archons to reroll ones to hit with things and give buffs out, but still pretty good. The next one is the Show Stealer, and she really is. She's probably my favorite model out of the Codex, the Succubus, the Master Succubus. She's insanely broken right now, and I can't wait to see how they deal with this. So each time this model makes a consolidation move, it may move 6 inches and does not have to end closer to the closest enemy model. It doesn't have to move towards the closest enemy model. So what this means is that we're able to jump her into combat, kill things that she rightfully could never take on, like jump into a unit of Blade Guard, and then just bounce out. And just, I don't want to be here. And then this can be comboed with things like the Witches can hold you into combat, and especially, we can kind of jump forward here. You can use a Stratagem to give your Hecatrix, which is the Witch Sergeant, a relic. The relic, Agonizer. Now, at the end of the fight phase, after this model has swung, you pick one unit, and they can't fall back. It's not like, oh, I have to hit them, I have to wound them. No, it's just like you pick them, they can't fall back. So that's going to be huge, especially when it's paired with that. You're like, oh, my damage dealer's going to get in there, do some damage, bounce out, but you're stuck in, and I'm protected from the unit that's in front of them. So you can't shoot at that unit because you can't fall back, and I'm protected. So come over here and get some. It's witch time. Cut them up, you know? I love that model. This is also really well. So they also have a relic that replaces the archetype glaive called the Dancer's Edge. And it's +2 strength, AP 4, damage 2. And with this weapon, 6 to wound. No invul saves can be taken. With an AP 4 weapon, that could get through. Now she can be paired with that. This is a good competitive combo. The Dancer's Edge paired with the Warlord trait Precision Blows. Now, if she hits on 6s, the damage of the weapon's automatically converted to mortal wounds, and you don't have to roll to wound at all. So you're getting in there, and let's put this out there. Succubus now have 7 attacks naturally, and you're going to get +1, like, without a doubt, from either a Warlord trait or a buff, or there's auras. Like, it gets crazy. So I imagine she'd have like 7 to 8 attacks. That's an automatic, like, average of 2 mortal wounds when you hit. Then you swing again, and you're going to get an average of 1 more through. That's an average of 4 wounds going through, no answer, even if you have a 3+ invul save. So that's that's a pretty good one. Other combos, obviously, with Cult Strife, from the new book, the Book of Rust. New book, Book of Rust. It's an old book, but it's new to us. There's a stratagem called Dance of Death. Now, that Dance of Death can be used on any Strife unit, and you basically gives you a flood belt, gives you the Harlequin ability. You can move through models and terrain as they weren't there horizontally. So what this means is you leave that little gap. My base is only this big. You leave that little gap between your big unit of blob, and you can just charge right into the middle. Just boom. And you're saying to yourself, why would you charge into 30 orc boys? What's wrong with you? Now, if you leave yourself 5 inches, okay, you get in there, jump in 6, you get in the middle, and you just need to get out. Just stay out of 1 inch of them, and I'll tell you why. So you're going to jump in there, and you're going to use... Now, if you decide, the Cold Strife, the Succubuses are the way to go. I'm going to probably say there's going to be 2 in each list for me, but you pair that combo, that stratagem, Dance of Death, to move through enemy models, so you can get right into the middle of a horde unit with the Warlord trait Whirling Death. And now, instead of using its base attacks, your attacks equal the amount of models within 2 inches of her. Now, doesn't seem like a lot, but with like Orc Boys, a Horde of Gaunts, you could be having 11, 12 models within 2 inches of her. You can attack kill potentially 8 to 10 models and then consolidate out. So now they have no answer, can't even attack her back. And like I said, if you had a unit of witches close with an enemy unit, now that unit can't fall back, and that succubus is completely safe. There's just a lot of fun playthrough stuff here, especially with the combat phase. So I'm very, very curious to see where that plays out. Alright guys, let me get my little drink here. Alright. Homunculus, right? They've always been good. They've always been hard to kill. How can we make them better? Well, you upgrade to the Master Homunculus. I'm not really sure what it's called. It's a Lords of Commorragh, and it lets you upgrade 1 Archon, 1 Succubus, and 1 Homunculus. The Homunculus gets his special ability is really small, nothing. He stands back up after he dies. Well, Sisters of Battle, Gilman, you're not the only ones with it now, okay? It's happening. So what you can do with these homunculus is you can use Poisoner's Amplifuge. That's, I believe that is its the Warlord trait for this super homunculus. Once per game, you select an enemy unit and it shuts off all their aura abilities and they cannot be affected by any aura abilities. Some anti-Space Marine tech right there. I don't think I'll be using this one very often because you only have 5 Warlord traits and there's some really good ones in here. And when I say 5 Warlord traits, I'll explain it to you now and explain it to you at the end. You only, if you have a real space raid detachment, you pay 1 CP and your Archon, your Succubus, and your Homunculus all get a Warlord trait. So that's 2 extra Warlord traits for 1 CP. Now, if you take 1 more CP, you get another Warlord trait, another character. And you can use that 2 times in a 2K game. So, there you go. 5 Warlord traits. And you can have 3 relics. That's really, really good. I'm excited to see all the real space raid lists come out. I already have something worked up for me. I'm working on some 20 Hellions and some Succubuses, and you'll see why. I also would like to maybe run a unit of 20 racks because you're able to, with this next one, this homunculus is Twisted Animator. It heals D3 racks per turn, and then the homunculus itself heals 1 wound per turn. So you end up standing back up with like 2-3 wounds, and you're able to heal racks like a apothecary. Amazing with 20-man rack units that can reroll 1s to hit with the Archon from the Real Space Raid Detachment, reroll 1s to wound. They have a bunch of stratagems that can buff them too, so I think you're going to see some racks winning that primary. 20 racks hard to move, especially if you boost them with the retinues. And let's talk about those now. So, retinues is, we talked about the Lords of Commorragh. That's the city, of pain. These are your 3 Lords of Commorragh. They all have those special abilities. They all can have these Warlord traits, relics, all kinds of great stuff. But they can also have 1 retinue each. So these retinues cost you points, 2 points per model. Now, it's almost not worth it, but then it is, because I'll tell you why. The Trueborn were already leaked. They have 2+ ballistic skill. always hit unmodified, which is insane. They got +1 leadership, and they're just generally annoying. I would say 2 blasters and a splinter cannon with a unit of 10 of those, and a raider. Now, the raiders, they can just, you shoot out of the raider, that's good. Raiders, there's transport stratagems now, where if you're within 9 inches of board edge, you can put that unit into reserve with the unit inside. Now, there's other stratagem, which lets you disembark after you come out of reserve with the transport. So, potentially, turn 3, I need to get all the way across the board. I'm too far. Maybe. I'm fast, Drukhari. But maybe you want to keep them safe. You put them in reserve. Then, you bring them in next turn and disembark on an objective. You're like, oh, you only got 3 guys over here, like, I make the charge, no problem. There's a lot of good combos in there, like even, let's say, you bring that transport in from reserve, now you go to charge, vehicles get power from pain now, so you end up, being able to get all their buffs, and there's a stratagem called, well, there's Shock Prow. Of course, Shock Prow. You're able to advance and charge with Ether Sails. So you get +8 to your 14-inch move. So it's like 22-inch move. You get to advance after you do that. Now, once you're going to get there, you set yourself up for a nice position so you can slam in sideways onto a unit and get as many guys within engagement range as possible, because you use Shock Prow. After a charge, after you successfully charge a unit on a 2+, the enemy suffers D3 mortal wounds. Boom. D3 mortal wounds, that should be good enough for 1 CP, right? Wrong. If a unit is a non-vehicle unit that you're doing this to, roll a dice for each model within engagement range. If that total is equal to or higher than the unit's toughness, 1 mortal wound. So you get D3 mortal wounds, plus you slam your long raider into the side of a unit, and you're getting an average probably 4 or 5 more mortal wounds. That's a factory. You're like, oh yeah, I just did 6 mortal wounds with my 1 CP. No problem. Every day. I do it all the time. It's like normal. New Codex, man. Alright, so we're going back up. Now those raiders, obviously, great with the Trueborn in them. But let's get to the Blood Brides. Blood Brides, you'll see these a lot less. But 2 extra points makes the witches a little expensive, but it does give them weapon skill 2+, +1 leadership, and they increase their AP by 1. On 6s, they increase an additional 3. So on 6s to wound, AP 4. That's good. That's good. I'll probably take Unit 10 just to like hang out, in a raider. Have some of my girls and some electro. What is it called again? The Dark Technomancer Venoms, like with some Succubus in them. Maybe with some Homunculi with liquefier guns, because liquefier guns are one of the best weapons in the game with hex rifles, I would say, and they're going to turn the tides because it's a tool that we didn't used to have as Drukhari, and now we have some pretty good tools to deal with that kind of mid-range stuff. So those are the Blood Brides. They're good. They're just really, really, really AP. They like kind of turn them into Gene Stealers. And then they have the Hemocytes. Pretty bad at these Drukhari names, but they get that is the Racks, and they're elite Racks. They +1 to their save and invul save, and once per phase they ignore the first failed save of damage. Yes, you heard it. So you're going to shoot at me with your racks. I get 1 freebie every phase. Thank you very much. I will take that. And the 20-man, it's going to be hard to take a 20-man, but at the same time, that makes them even more survivable, and you're healing them every turn, and they have a good feel no pain. 5+ racks, feel no pain. That's really good. So you're going to be seeing some racks on the board, I guarantee it, because real space raid detachment, you're going to have 1. And I highly suggest it if you're going competitive. So I was looking at now, I have a real space raid detachment with 3 obsessions. 1 for the Cabal, 1 for the Cult, 1 for the Homunculus. So I went through them all and decided that I think Cabal the Black Heart is the best. Now, there's a lot of like the Splinter +1 to wound with the Splinters. Detachment, I mean, it's really good. I might think about playing with it a bit. But I thought I'll tell you why I think Cabal the Blackheart is so good. So, Cabal the Blackheart, Thirst for Power. It was kind of the same from last time, with the +1 from Power of Pain. But it's kind of better now because it works on vehicles. And that means all of your Cabal the Blackheart units are going to be able to advance and charge. Now, why is that important? It's because you can, if your Archon is part of a real space raid detachment, all Blades of Hire, which are Incubi, Mandrakes, all the good elite killing units, all gain the +1 from Power from Pain. Whoa. Now we're talking. I'm in my list right now. I have 3 units of 5 Mandrakes, and they disrupt the game completely. You forward deploy them 9 inches away from your opponent's deployment zone, and now you're able to advance and charge them. Your opponents will literally have to deploy, what is that, an average of 15, 16 inches away to be semi-safe. You're right on their deployment zone. You can block out objectives, and if they don't, they point right in your face. You get turn 1, you're going to be hurting them and stopping them right in their deployment zone turn 1. Now, things like Hellions, advancing and charging, like, it's going to be good. There's a lot of combos here, so. So that is one of why I think Cabal Blackheart is going to be amazing, because if you choose to take Mandrakes and you choose to take Incubi, the +1 Power from Pain. +1 leadership for the whole detachment for some reason, so that makes them better than Space Marines at leadership. And reroll a single hit roll per unit per phase. So it's like kind of what Salamander's got, but I think they're just wound roll. This is a hit roll. You miss a Dark Lance on a Ravager, you miss your blaster that you need to, you re-roll it. If Archon's pistol, it does not say anything about core here. It says re-roll a single hit roll with a Cabal of Blackheart unit. So huge. I love blasters. Making them even stronger, please. Let's make them even stronger. I'll own a bucket of them. Warlord Traits, gain a CP on 6s when spent. Yeah, whatever. There's too many good Warlord Traits for that kind of stuff. Relic Archon. Only Muse Aura Blackheart. Now we're talking. So it affects core units. Reroll 1s to wound. Same as before, but core. Blades of Hire also get the ability in a real space raid detachment. So, yeah, 10 Incubi, rerolling 1s to hit, rerolling 1s to wound, please. Unfortunately, I think Drazar is going to have a hard time fitting into the list There's just so many good buffs to like the standard HQs that it's hard to fit in the high point cost character like him, but I'm gonna do it because I love him and he's great. So, alright. Vect. Another reason to take Cabal to Blackheart. We're still on Cabal to Blackheart. Sorry it's taken so long. So, Vect is a big change to the game. So, before, Vect was very disruptive. You go to spend, use a CP, you go to use a stratagem, I stop your stratagem on a 2-up, blah blah blah. It's in the wind. It's gone now. Forget about it. It's now a 0 CP stratagem that you use anytime your opponent goes to use a stratagem. And now you make that stratagem plus 1 CP. Okay. Yeah. But it stays that cost for the whole game. Now your opponent goes to use Transhuman. Let's make that 2 CP on your 5-man Blade Guard unit, please. Your opponent goes to, like, let's say another big one would be the Interrupt. Like, oh yeah, 2 CP, make it 3. You know? And that can be kind of used, and there's couldn't tell you how many situations I've been in where my opponent has 2 CP left, and he's like, oh, I can interrupt, thank God. Like, I can interrupt, like, I need this. No, you don't need it that bad. It costs 3 CP now. Like, it's really good, and it's once per game, but I think it's a better change for the game, and I think it's a better change for the detachment. Before, you're taking a whole patrol to get all these abilities, and they didn't affect the other patrols. Now, they kind of all work a little more like symbiotically, and I really am enjoying the Codex so far. It's so much to dive into. Alright, for my cult, I went with Strife. There's a lot of reasons why. The Book of Rust coming out, it's got 4 to 5 different stratagems, and I'll go over a few of them here. So Cult of Strife is Lilith's cult. We'll probably never take her, but she is a good character killer, so we might have some wiggle room with her. So Succubus has got base 6 attacks, so that's hard. And then they have combat drugs that can give them an easy +1, and they have access to really good Warlord Traits, so it's hard to take Lilith, but Lilith is really good. Now, Spectacle of Murder. So, their first obsession is at the start of the fight phase. If a Cult Strife unit are within engagement range of an enemy unit, each time you declare to... Oh, you fight first. Yeah, well, alright, so let's just reread that. At the start of the fight phase, if any Cult Strife units are within engagement range of enemy units, that unit may fight first. Oh, that may fight first. Okay, so it's an optional fight first. So you don't have to fight first, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to, but still strong to have that option. At the start of the fight phase, if a cult... excuse me. Each time you declare charge with a unit, you get +1 if the target has no enemy units in engagement range. Now, that's awesome for deep strikers. So, remember when I was talking about coming in, getting out of the vehicle, being able to charge? Now, that's huge with that. You're getting +1. Now it's an 8-inch charge, and it's re-rollable. So, you could really work it. So, for 2 CP, you can fight again with any witch unit. So, that's their core... their core troops. Now, moving on, in the Book of Rust. This is just Book of Rust stratagems for Cult Strife. Now, they're so good that they're really trying to sell that book, man. Like, that Cult Strife is really top-notch. We'll go over the first one here. Art of the Kill. 2 CP, re-roll wound rolls for Strife units, 3 CP if you have 11 or more models in the unit. So, I've been seeing reroll wound rolls everywhere. Reroll 1s to wound for Muse, reroll this, reroll that. The succubuses make you reroll 1s to wound. I mean, Muse won't work because it's Cabal, but you get the point. Reroll wounds everywhere. They're dealing with their low strength in a really obvious way, and it's really good for the game. Really good for Drukhari. I don't know, it's not good for the game, but they're still a glass cannon. They do have a couple units that are really tough, and they'll stick around on units or on objectives. And I'm really excited to see where they go with that, and see what people just come up with, man. I would say a unit of Hellions, a unit of jet bikes in every list, but we'll see. So that was the first one. Reroll wounds, that's great. I already mentioned Dance of Death, moving through models. You can do that with a unit, you can do that with a succubus, any strife unit. That's very powerful. And when you can do it with the 6-inch consolidate that we were talking about, man, that's so good. All right. Invigorated by Evisceration. Now, that's a cool name for a stratagem, but after a strife unit kills an enemy unit, 1 CP, you get a 4+ invul until the start of your next turn. Yeah, that 20-man Hellion unit that just charged you turn 2 and took out your 5-man Intercessor unit, they're going to have 4-up invul right in your face, and they're going to stop you from moving. They're big old witch models on their big old bases. I can't wait. Hellions, big 20-man, big 10-man units of witches. They're going to be really good with this. Actually gives witches a little survivability. The Blade Well Placed from the Book of Rust here. The supplement, guys, this is all legal stuff. It's not in the Codex, but it is in the Book of Rust here. This one is Blade Well Placed. 2 CP plus 1 AP for any strife unit. Okay. Yeah, it's good. Deadly Exemplar. 1 CP. Succubus kills a monster or character. You may re-roll wound rolls of 1 for the whole army. What? So the whole strife detachment now re-rolls 1s to wound because your succubus killed a character. What? What is that? That's awesome. Like, witches are always going to be re-rolling some kind of wounds. Like, this is awesome. I can't wait to see what they're like on the field. Flawless Approach. 1 CP, Strife Core unit, cannot be overwatched, and the unit may not set to defend. Yeah. Hold up in that rune. Even if you're Blade Guard, you're trying to get that +1. No, thank you. All right. Pick them apart. I think this is one of my favorites because it gives them access to fallback and charge, but you already have a fallback and charge stratagem, so you could potentially have, it's called Cruel Deception from the Codex. So now you have this Book of Rust 1 CP stratagem to fall back and charge, and then you have another Cruel Deception to fall back and charge, but then you also have another fallback and charge with like a Cabal unit. So if you, and it's 1 CP to fall back and charge or fall back and shoot, and it's 2 CP to do both. You could fall back, shoot, and charge. So you have access to all these things to make them versatile. You just need that CP. And that's why they're not really taxing you with the detachments, because you're going to start with 12 CP. You're probably spending 4 CP, 1 on the Sarge Relic, 2 on the Warlord Traits, maybe 2 on the Relics because they're all so good. So you're probably spending about 5 CP before the game, putting you at 7. So these CP are going to be very valuable to you. And the Hecatrix of the Crucible is the one I was just telling you about. You're always going to probably want to put it on your Blood Bride, which is the retinue for your Super Succubus. And you're going to want to put that relic on her. That's the Agonizer Blade, so no one can fall back. So you don't have to worry about netting people or anything like that. You're in combat with this Agonizer relic. You may not fall back. That's huge game-changing stuff. Like, I need to fall back all the time with my white scars just to get to the objectives I need to, and I couldn't, I'm stuck in with this unit I don't even want to be stuck in with. And now they have a 4+ invul because they killed a unit of chaff before they hit me. There's a lot of combos there, and it's going to be good. That's all for this Cult of Strife stuff out of the Book of Rust. But we're going to move now to the Covens. So there's 2 Covens that are probably going to be top-notch competitive. Prophets of Flesh, awesome. That was the one I'm usually leaning towards because you're gaining a wound on your Homunculus, like I mentioned under the Homunculus. Prophets of Flesh units can only be wounded on a 1, 2, or 4, 5, or 6, so they have transhuman unless the strength of the weapon is 8 or higher. So that's very strong for keeping a unit of 20 racks alive. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards that. But I feel like there is enough playroom here for the succubuses. So, if we wanted to, we take extra succubuses and an extra rack unit or a couple, succubuses, a couple homunculi. Good, strong characters to stay alive. You take an extra homunculi and you take a unit of racks. So now you have 2 units of racks in your army. That's, no big deal. Unit 5, unit 20, or unit 5, unit 15, whatever. I'm digging the big numbers, though. And we're throwing, so just those 2 taxes, and then all the venoms your heart could desire in your 3, 4 venoms. Now, why do I want venoms in a Coven detachment? Because they did not take out Dark Technomancer for some reason. Now, Dark Technomancer is by far the best Coven. It's ranged weapons with this Coven get +1 to wound, +1 to damage, and if you roll 1 to wound or 1 to hit, you get a mortal wound. So it's like getting hot. If it's a vehicle or monster, you get D3 mortal wounds. So you could potentially kill yourself with these getting hots. But I think that the reward over here, 3 damage splinter cannons, might be worth it. You want to take out those Terminators, and now you're wounded and poison on a 3+. I don't know. It's really good. I'm looking at you kind of like, GW, this was really good. Did you need to keep it in? Now, this is not the most deadly combo you can do with Dark Technomancers, because you can have Talos with dual liquefier guns. Now, liquefier guns got so good. They're the best. I'm going to build my list strongly around damage from liquefier guns and with the Dark Technomancers. You take one hard-hitting unit with a lot of liquefier guns, and now they're strength 4, AP2, decent enough to get down to a 4+ invulnerable on most hard to kill units. And they auto-hit, so you're never getting hot with them. So not only are they now strength 4, which is a good place to be, but you get +1 to wound. So you're wounding most things on 3s in the game, and the harder stuff on 4s, and they're all 2 damage flamer shots. And you can be shot, they're pistols, so most of them can be shot into combat. So I'm just thinking like couple homunculuses, couple liquefier guns, it's gonna be great. I can't wait to see in a Venom, like 2 liquid fire guns in a Venom. Now that's actually something to be dealt with. Like Grotesques, Talos. Talos really come to mind because their shooting has always been like, okay, they got haywire, they're alright. But liquid fire guns, where they want to be in combat anyways, and now you're getting 2d6 auto hits per, and they're all 2 damage, strength 4, AP2. Like, you're like doubling or tripling their damage output. I'm loving the Dark Technomancer. But Prophets of Flesh is probably where I'm going to land a lot with my Space Raid detachment, because it's so survivable. And they have access to the Vexator Mask, which is the no Overwatch relic, which can really come in handy against things like if Tau starts to just come in rampant with their new codex, or stuff like that. It also gives you access to a 3-inch fight last ability, and that's the Vexator Mask. Sin's Right Large. 1 CP, reroll all failed hits. Like, that's solid. If your unit Rax really needs to kill a horde unit and you don't want to use any of your other buffs or no one's around, you still just get to reroll the hits. Now, like I said, Dark Technomancer is the best Coven in my opinion, but we'll see where it all comes together here at the when people really start putting together some lists. I'm really excited to see what we can build here, because I'm looking at a list of probably 15 to 20 Hellions, 8 to 15 Reaver jet bikes, big unit racks, small unit racks, the tax, all my boys, big unit of witches, or I don't think I'm going to go Blood Brides, but the 2+ to hit is nice, and they make them like Gene Sealers with 2+ to hit. Good delivery system. I think it puts too much of a target on their head if you put your relic in there, so I'm thinking like a couple units of witches and raiders, just to try to like disperse people. And the raiders actually, with Shock Proud, they put off danger, and with the combination of enhanced cells, like I was saying, you're gonna be getting there. So now it's down to the stratagems, and this will be the last part of the video. So before we get into this, just want to say thank you so much for watching. Red Bluff Battle Reports, sponsored by Nexus Game Emporium. They're not really a full sponsor, but he's part of the team, and he helps us out a lot, making the tables look beautiful and making people's armies look beautiful for the stream. John Bonadelli at Battle Ready Brushworks, give him a shout. And Nexus Game Emporium, they have this stuff when people don't have it. They're willing to order stuff. Go check them out. Stratagems, pretty exciting. We already went over a lot of the Cold Strife stratagems, but we got a lot of good ones here, so we'll jump into it. So we already talked about Cruel Deception with the fallback and charge, or the 2 CP, where do both fallback, shoot, and charge. The Great Enemy is 1 CP, and that's the I Hate Slanesh ability. +1 to hit, +1 to wound on a Slanesh unit. As Slanesh is growing higher and higher in the tiers, and the Lord Changeless becomes more and more prevalent, I think that's going to get some use. Keeper Secrets list is getting more and more prevalent, but I did see a list, a tournament I went to, and it was 2 Keepers, 1 Lord of Change, was like a rogue, and like a bunch of demons. So it looked pretty hard to play, but I didn't get to play it, so ended up playing 2 Death Guards. Who would have known? So Death Guard and Dark Angels are very, very prevalent. So being able to reroll 1s to wound, being able to get as many hits as possible before you get to that wound, where you could fail with the 1, 2, or 3 always transhuman, is very important. 3 damage weapons are very important. That's why Dark Technomancer should be helping, controlling the close combat phase with things like Fight Last or Can't Fall Back when you need to, or being able to hit you and consolidate 6 inches away and not be in combat anymore, but potentially be protected. These are all things that are pretty big. So I'm happy to see how they shake that meta up a little bit. So Torture's Craft. Stratagem, 1 or 2 CP. It's a Homunculus Coven unit, reroll wounds. And then, or if it's 11 or more, or an elite unit like Grotesque, it's 2 CP. So it's just reroll wounds. Another thing, another access to reroll wounds. I think they're really trying to, yeah, reroll wounds, man. That's the way to deal with the transhuman. Lightning Fast Reflex, Lightning Fast, 2 CP, -1 to hit on a unit. It went up to 2 CP. Yeah, it's fair. It's game-winning stratagem most of the time, or annoying stratagem, and at the last second to really mess up your statistics, and I feel like it was well worth the 1 CP and maybe too much, and they thought so too. So 2 CP is a good place for it to land. Hunt from the Shadows. +1 save and light covers. That's +2 save. This is great. Incubi. Sitting a cover. 1 CP. 1 up save. AP1s. I don't care. AP2s. I barely care. You know, like that's when losing the 6 up, feel no pain. You gotta look for stratagems like that to keep your guys alive. We got 1 CP. Lets you take a Warlord Trait on a Relic, on an Archon, Succubus, Homunculus. We already went over this. You get to use it twice. So the 1 CP gives you a Warlord Trait on each one of your real space detachment, the Archon, the Succubus, the Homunculi. But then you can also pick 2 other characters in there, which will probably be your Dark Technomancer and your Dark Technomancer Homunculus and your other Succubus, which are probably putting out damage. You may give them Warlord Traits as well. And like I said, I think that 5 CP pre-game spent is probably going to be most of the time for me, but other people like to play different and try to go bare bones, but I like to use all the tools, and once you just start stacking relics and warlord traits on top of this and that and find out how to place them properly on the board, you start to just devastate people with being like, how do you have every buff? Like, you're rerolling 1s to hit, you're rerolling 1s to wound, you're rerolling all wounds. Now on 6s I don't get any invul. What's happening? You're like, yeah, that's all good and dandy. Extra relics, obviously. Prizes of the Dark City. Gotta have those prizes. So, Eviscerating Drive. So this is a 1 or 2 CP stratagem. If it's 6 or more models in the unit, it's 2 CP. Pick a unit that has been flown over. Each model in your unit rolls a dice. On a 5+, you deal a mortal wound, +1 to infantry. There it is, folks. I don't know how to say it better than wow. You can use this on any bike unit, anything that flies, basically. Or no vehicles, but all the flying dudes, like Reaver jet bikes. I have 10 Reaver jet bikes. I fly over your apothecary, roll 10 dice, 4 ups, he's taking mortals. Like, what? Okay, I'm gonna fly over your characters. You doesn't need to target them at all. I'm gonna fly over your characters, roll with 20 Hellions, and oh, you need Azrael for the 4-up invul on the attack bikes or whatever, because turn 1 and I'm in your face turn 1. There's a lot of situations where this comes in to play, and I'm super stoked on that for Hellions, because being able to advance and charge, fly over something, kill something with your mortal wounds with a 2 CP stratagem, and then charge something else and kill it, you're putting off so much damage. The the term glass cannon has really become up there, but your glass is now a 4-up invul if you kill a unit with your Hellions. So your glass just became a little bit thicker, almost bulletproof glass. Not quite, not quite. All right, I'd say bolter-proof glass. Now, those are, you know. All right, guys. Moving on. Only a couple left. Thank you guys for watching again. I appreciate it. We appreciate you. Red Bluff Battle Reports. If you ever have any questions on competitive Drukhari, competitive Space Marines, Tyranids, like demons, anything, just post it. Don't be afraid to message me personally, or even to the page. He'll post it over to me, the question over to me. I will get as much answer as I can. I'm happy to look at lists. I'm happy to help people with competitive combos. So I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I'm hoping this tournament next week, I'm hoping to do good. Invitational. So we'll see how it goes. I'm taking the Dark Angels because they're ready and painted and beautiful, and I made a custom Azrael. Let's see if we can. Got a couple little projects I'm working on over here. I got Ezekiel. They're going to be a lot of fun just to show them off, but I think ultimately I want to land with the Drukhari with this next ITC season. I think they have a lot of play to them, very strong, and I think they're in that like middle zone of like horde, killy, survivable units all mixed together. I'm really excited. All right, so saving the best for last here. So Fire and Fade, it's still there. It's 2 CP now, so it got a little debuff, but it will still see plenty of use, I'm sure. It's not called Fire and Fade, it's called like Hit and Run. No, I'm just kidding. It's but it's still the same. You get a moving after you shoot. Very powerful. I'm sure you'll see that get some play. Absolutely. One of my favorites stratagems in the whole book, Prey on the Weak. Okay, 1 CP, any core unit chooses to shoot or fight a unit that has taken at least 1 casualty. You get to reroll 1s to hit against them. That's good, but if they're below half strength, you start picking on them and you get to reroll all hits. 1 CP. So it's like, oh, at the end of the game, I'm starting to finish off units. Bam, bam, bam. Like, oh, this Venom. Yeah, reroll all hits with these 12 2 damage splinter, or 6 2 damage splinter shots. You know, you got to be careful with the splinter cannons now. Dark lances are great too, but I feel like most things will push towards blasters and splinter cannons, things that can deal with almost anything. Now that splinter cannons and things can win vehicles pretty good with the Stratagem, and things that shouldn't be hurting heavy infantry, hurt infantry like liquefier guns and hex rifles with the +1 damage. You're going to be seeing those a lot, and I'm excited for that. See some different models on the field. You should be seeing a big variety of. They just, with this codex, I feel like GW was just like, bring it on, like bring it on. I want it all. I want to see, you know, your whole collection out there. All right, Deadly Rivals. I have to say, this is probably going to be the last one I go over, because I've gone over the rest, I believe, except for the secondary. So, Deadly Rivals is amazing. The reason I said everyone's going to have a Hellion and a Ravager, or a Reaver jet bike unit and a Hellion unit, is because you got 2 units within 12 inches that can see each other, use 1 CP, and you get +1 movement free. That's great. You got to move over things to hurt it with the more wind stratagem. So +1 movement for both units, and you may reroll all failed hits in melee. all failed hits. It's like, yeah, okay, I see you out there. I see you. I'm gonna kill more than you, punk. And it's like, no, I'm gonna kill more than you, punk. And they just start slashing, and they're loving it. They're loving life. So, living their best. So I feel like that is very strong, and that's why you should always have a jet bike unit and a Hellion unit in every real Space Raider detachment. I feel like this is secondary is probably the best one. I've read all 4, 5, 6 of them. Take Them Alive is by far their best one because it takes the place of a Purge secondary. And you get 3 points if you kill a character or monster in the fight phase. 1 point for killing any other unit in the fight phase. Yeah, of course. I'm killing stuff. Like, I'm killing stuff in the fight phase. I'm taking witches, I'm taking Hellions, I'm taking Racks, and Incubi, and I'm getting in there with my Drazar, my Hecatrix with her blade that makes you not fall back, with my automatic 2 mortal wound freaking succubus that can hit you and get out of there. Yes, please. We are doing all of the above. I'm killing units. So character, monster, 3 points. Characters are in there. You could just take assassinate. Oh, it's the same thing, except you get 1 point for every other unit you kill. So it's a bonus. So I feel like that'll see a lot of play. Besides that, guys, not much changes to the stat lines. I am happy with Cabalite Warriors gaining 4+ armor. There's a couple small changes in there that might be some debuffs, like to core only, obviously, but I'd say most of the units got core, so you really shouldn't be worried. I remember everyone's always talking about, how can I get my Ravengers to hit harder? How can I get them to hit harder? I don't think they're going to be a very competitive choice anymore, but I'm wrong a lot of times, so we'll have to see. I'm sure they're still great, but I feel like for the point value, 3 heavy supports like that, you can get a lot of utility out of your units now. And most of them get bonuses to wound and have a lot of good special weapons with multiple damage, so I feel like they give you the tools there to reroll hits and reroll wounds everywhere to really chop through most things. So I'm super excited to... Been saying that a lot. I would love to have an excited counter for this video. I think that overall we'll be seeing the Drukhari in the competitive scene a lot more. And that is it. Got the strategist here from Red Bluff Battle Reports wishing you adieu. You guys keep battling out there, and you guys have a great day.